One of the things I do not like about doing conferences, it's like, in the conference we talk about all this stuff. Then we go out of the conference and it's like, shh, don't talk about that, back to work. And that's a problem. We have to talk about this stuff at all times. I decided to try an experiment. I decided to spend a year introducing myself to people as a person who's mentally ill. I just want to see what happened. Let me try. And I don't ever use the term mentally ill, but I want to see what people like run from me, what they do. So every person I met, no matter what state I was in, I was like, hi, my name is Mike. I'm mentally ill. I'd be at a bar. Hey, how you doing? I'm mentally ill. So what was interesting was the response that I got. Not a single person ran from me. Some people hugged me. Some people started crying. A lot of people said, thank you for sharing that. And I actually got hired for more work as a drummer and hit on by more women than I ever had in my life. And I realized why. It's not because of the fact that I was saying I was mentally ill. It was that I was comfortable with myself. I'm okay with it. And I realized that for many years I wasn't okay with it. You can't tell anybody about that. My parents would say, if you told anybody about this and they're going to hire you for stuff, Mike, no. So I felt comfortable with myself. There are many things that we want in legislation. We're always fighting for stuff. Better laws around housing, better laws around this. And one thing I've learned about life is that if you keep things in the conversation, you will eventually get legislation. Case in point, gay marriage. Whether you support it, whether you're against it, doesn't matter. It's getting legislation because people keep it in the conversation. Everyone understand that? As I'm standing up here and you're looking at me, what do you see? Do you see a bald man with a Madonna microphone? Do you see a bald African-American man? Do you see a bald African-American man in a suit? I don't know what you see. You might see any of those, you might see none of those. But let's just say for a moment, you say that you see a bald African-American man on stage. It's okay to call me African-American in 2014. 10, 20 years ago, there were different words you could use to describe someone of my race that would probably be considered inappropriate today, correct? And the whole issue of race in our country did not start with, oh, we gotta change labels. It started with a conversation. And when you start things with a conversation, that leads to education and legislation. So keep that in mind, that when it comes to mental health, by just having the conversation, even if it's uncomfortable, it's okay. Everyone got that? Yeah. I was actually on a movie set in Los Angeles. My friend had invited me to the movie set, and he said, Mike, you can meet the director. And I was like, yeah. And he said, the only thing is I gotta wear a suit jacket. I don't like wearing a suit jacket. So I wore my suit jacket, and they even let me sit in the chair, like the director's chair, and they let me look at the script. And they asked for my opinion. I felt proud. And this was actually last spring. And so I'm reading the script, and they said, Mike, what do you think? And I was like, can I really just say what's on my mind? And I did, and they took notes. I was like, whoa, this is cool. So afterward, the director and myself and my friend were all chatting with a bunch of us about what we do in our lives. And everyone's going around the room introducing themselves. I see my friend kind of looking at me, as they're about to get to me, right? I understand, this is his work, you know, like, he supports the whole stigma thing, but... So we get to me, and I say, well, I'm mentally ill, I got a lot of problems, I go to therapy once a week, and I try to help people, and I hit stuff. And you know, when it gets everyone's looking around like, And the director goes, Mike, I'm mentally ill too. And I was hospitalized. And he started getting emotional talking about it. And everyone's looking at the two of us like, what? But a few weeks later, my friend emails me and says, thank you so much for sharing that. You lightened up the energy and the tension that was on that set because you talked about it. So it's okay to have the uncomfortable conversation. Everyone got that? The other thing I wanted to say is I was in an elevator in New York City. It's kind of like the elevator at this hotel, real small, real old. And I have anxiety. And it was making funny sounds and stopping like not fully on the floor, kind of like that elevator out there. And this woman gets on the elevator. And she smiles at me, just says hello, and I'm like, hi. And I was like, yo, this building is shady. And she goes, yeah, I know, I work here. Whole elevator conversation here. And I was like, oh, what do you do? She goes, I'm a therapist. And I'm like, oh, I'm mentally ill. Can I have your card? And she's been my therapist ever since. I'm okay talking about it. I think it's important to talk about it. So number one, take care of yourself. Number two, keep it in the conversation. Number three, look for teachable moments.
I really enjoyed his presentation.
I came to this training today just because Mike was going to be here.
He basically essentially changed the tone of the room from let's think seriously about things and worry a little bit to let's feel happy.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to, finding that creative outlet to express yourself, work through your issues, get out your anger.
Very often, those of us either in the helping profession or so busy doing many things, we don't take time to take care of ourselves.
I felt of all of the presenters, he was the most lively, really just full of life, engaging, quick to the point. It was something that I think everyone left feeling very positively about.
Let's feel positive and let's treat our mental health challenges as something that is an intrinsic part of ourselves.
Keep the conversation around disability going so that we can achieve our goals of full inclusion.
I'm going to start taking better care of myself as a promise to him.